What's up, guys? Star Wars only. We're gonna do a Let's Talk Star Wars 5, I believe, and that's just where we sit back, relax, and we just talk Star Wars for 30 minutes to an hour. I just answer your guys' questions. So let's just get right into it. These are the community questions on YouTube right now. Dylan Pern, I don't know how to say your last name, buddy. He asked a really good question. Do you think having a lightsaber ignite in every movie is better than having C-3PO and R2 in each one? That's a pretty good question because it depends on what you're looking for from a lightsaber. A lot of the scenes that we got with Star Wars are, it's of course mainly lightsabers. It's one of the most iconic weapons of all time because of the movies, and so is R2 and C-3PO. Don't get me wrong, but with lightsaber, there's normally some character development that comes after. And with the original trilogy, every lightsaber battle was internalization of character. It was supposed to build up the character. In the prequels, it was mainly more about the action. And I'm not gonna lie, if you look at our history with lightsabers and C-3PO and R2-D2, I'd prefer the lightsabers because you look at the scenes that C-3PO and R2-D2 are in, or the prequels, in the prequels, you look at the scenes that they're in there. A lot of those scenes aren't that good compared to the lightsaber battle with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan in the end of the Phantom Menace, or even in Episode 3, Palpatine and Mace Windu, Palpatine, Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan. These lightsaber battles, Anakin and Count Dooku and whatnot, these lightsaber battles are really cool, and all those movies include C-3PO and R2-D2, but the lightsaber battles are by far better. So I would argue that you need the lightsaber battles more than you need C-3PO C-3PO and R2-D2 because you even look at Rogue One. It had one scene with C-3PO and R2-D2, and then you had one scene with the lightsaber, and that lightsaber scene was with Darth Vader, and that scene was badass. So yeah, I think lightsabers are more important than the droids at this point. I don't know why. I'm just saying that's from what I've seen, that's what we've gotten. So Elemental Jedi asks, how powerful should a Force user be before he's considered overpowered? Ooh, that's a tough one. Starkiller and Revan and all those guys are really overpowered. I mean, for me, the Mother, who is the most overpowered character ever, is big enough. She's powerful enough. The ones from the Mortis arc, they're really powerful. That's about as powerful as you ever need to be. And those are the only people that should ever be that powerful. No one else. Just let it be right there. There's a lot of overpowered stuff. I mean, you look at Emperor Palpatine versus Mace Windu. In the book, Revenge of the Sith, Anakin says that when they were fighting each other, they were moving so fast, they were fading in and out of existence. I mean, you're moving that fast, you simply stop existing. I mean, that's fucking crazy. So, there's a lot of overpowered stuff. I think if you're going to try to keep it as contained as possible, you kind of do what they did in the Old Republic video game cinematic trailers. Where, Satele Shan, I believe, is the one who stops a lightsaber with her bare hands. That was kind of wow or whatever, But other than that, there's some pretty interesting moves that they could do back then that was really cool that I liked, that didn't seem too overpowered. For me, I just like to keep it nice and simple. It's not all about the Force and the mystery behind it and everything. If certain people could do certain powers with it, sure, that's really cool. You make them unique and everything in a way. But if everyone's, summoning lightning from the fucking sky and, destroying planets like Darth Nihilus, who, absorbs the fucking planet's life, it's like, bro, come on. Like, how the fuck is old Ben Kenobi gonna beat this motherfucker who's swallowing planets and shit? Like, come on, that's crazy. And then Sidious, looking old as shit, fades in and out of existence. I mean, that's crazy. So there's a lot of overpowered stuff that goes on in the EU. So you keep it nice and simple. That's all I want, is just keep it nice and simple. This one guy, I don't know, Reynolds Moore is what I could get from his name. He says, do you like Mark Hamill's reasons for Luke in exile in The Last Jedi more than the official one we got in the movie? His one was that he had a wife and a son. Then he found his lightsaber one day and accidentally killed himself. Then Kylo Ren betrayal happens, then his wife dies. I don't know. It's hard because a problem that I've always had with Luke getting married, and I know people like Marjade, and I really like her in the books as well. She's a very good character. One problem I have with Luke getting married is that it does kind of seemed hypocritical to what the Jedi Order had done and built up. It was built off of no emotion, attachment's forbidden, you can't get married and everything, because you can see what happened with Anakin. So it always baffles me why Luke would look at what happened with his dad and go, well, why don't I copy him and be like him and get married? And that's the reason he lost his fucking mind. So I don't buy that. I've never bought that. So no, I don't agree with Mark Hamill's reasoning. The whole wife thing and whatnot. I'm not into that. I don't really agree with that philosophy of Star Wars. But that's just personal nitpicking. In terms of story, if that happened, I'd probably be more okay with it if Luke could find an argument, a reason to justify being married and disobeying the old Jedi Order and whatnot. If he could find a reason to say that and just kind of put that in as a side note or something, I'd be okay with it. And so that I would be okay with that if that happened. They have to give me an actual, reason for him to be married and whatnot. Sorry about that pause. Next question is from Steve-O Watches. It's the ranking the Star Wars movies. That's going to be a while. I'm sorry, I can't do that in this one video. Zeb Witt asks, or he puts, I hate episodes 1 and 2 as well as The Last Jedi, but I love Revenge of the Sith with Empire are the best. It's not really a question, but whatever. Elemental Jedi asks again, which Star Wars characters would each member of the Avengers be if they were in Star Wars? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Tony Stark and Han Solo are obviously mixed together. I think Luke Skywalker and Captain America could also arguably be, together. Chewie is obviously the Hulk. You have Leia, who arguably could be Black Widow, because she kind of had a weird little thing with no, because she ends up hooking up with Tony Stark then. I don't know. That's as far as I can really get. Who's the evil guy? The father of everybody. Well, then that kind of brings you into the Guardians of the Galaxy, thinking about Thanos and shit. I don't know. They're different characters. How about that? Next question is DC versus Marvel overall, including movie, TV shows, comics, etc. Movies, you got to give to Marvel. The movies they come out with are great. The animated movies that DC comes out with are fantastic. Oh my god. The Batman Mask of the Phantasm or whatever the hell. There's a lot of other Batman. Batman, The Return of the Night, or The Dark Knight Returns or whatever. That one was really cool. What else is there? Oh, the Flashpoint Paradox. That's probably my favorite of all time. I fucking love that one. That one was really good. Comic-wise, I probably have to go a little more towards DC as well. It's just that their movies are shit. I mean, I'm sorry. I really can't defend any of the movies they've come out with, except Wonder Woman. Ironically, that is the best DC movie that has come out. I mean, what happened to the Nolan trilogy with The Dark Knight? Those were perfect. Amazing. I love all of them. I remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises midnight release. Shit was crazy. So, next question is Real Darth Revan. He asks, do you like Star Wars? Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not that bad. It's whatever. Not the biggest fan, but, I don't hate it. Next question is from Josh CH. He says, would you nut on Rey's juicy forehead, and do you think Luke nutted on it at some point? I think it's safe to assume he did. I'm not sure what, the sexual appeal to Rey is. I'm not very attracted to Daisy Ridley. I'm not really into girls that are, skinny as a toothpick. I don't, maybe in the slim thick kind of stuff, I want fit, but I also I like her to have some meat to her, some body. So I'm not really sure why everybody's all attracted to Rey. So I wouldn't personally mess around with her. Would Luke? Probably not. Maybe. I'm not sure. She looks similar to Leia, and that seems to be what he was into because he liked her in episodes 4 and 5. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't. I would hope he didn't. That's pretty gross if he did on the low. Adam Balog asks, do you reconsider your opinion on geeks and gamers and world-class bullshitters? Just asking, there were some inaccuracies about them that led to your negative opinion. What were the inaccuracies? I know a lot of people were talking about both these channels and how I was wrong on them in the video, but they could never really offer me anything other than, oh, you're wrong about geeks and gamers because he provides us with our opinions or anything. He really voices our opinions, and world-class bullshitters aren't negative. They're just honest and everything. I'm like, bro, you bitched about Season 7 coming back. I mean, how do you just, How are you not fucking negative as shit if you sit there and diss negative season 7 coming back for the Clone Wars? If you're mad about that and you're saying that sucks because it's under Disney, you're just being a fucking idiot at that point. Like, I'm sorry, that's just how I feel about it. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick to these guys. I'm just saying that's stupid. Geeks and gamers, listen, I agree with a lot of what they say in general and their opinions on everything. I just don't agree with their methods of dealing with it and talking about it. They seem to come to the point of, let's just be negative about it, make very tabloid clickbait videos, and people talked about how Jeremy actually has the clickbait videos or the clickbait titles are the problem, but the video itself isn't bad. And most people are right on about that, but I don't really see what all I was wrong about. I mean, most of their videos are not the most positive things in the world, and there are always things that they talk about the negativity of Star Wars and stuff that really doesn't have any merit, in my opinion. But it's just my opinion, so whatever. Hacking Code asks, if you could only choose one, would you prefer a new, good multiplayer Star Wars game like the original Battlefront 2 or a good new single-player game like KOTOR? Probably KOTOR. That would just be... I like story-driven games the most, You could give me... I like Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been playing that a lot lately. I love that game. I think it's one of the best games of all time. I like story-driven games like that. You even look at Star Wars games, some of the story-driven ones, like KOTOR, are the best ones. So I'd be completely fine with a modern-day KOTOR. I think that'd be something that the fans could really rally behind and really just enjoy it and kind of bring some fresh creativity and fresh characters to Star Wars. I think that would be really good for a lot of fans. Mobius Leader 007 asks, do you have any friends or family who are into Star Wars too? Are they into novels, TV shows, or games? Do they discuss the lore, films, etc.? My mom likes the movies, doesn't really care about anything else. Not a really big fan. My dad, he likes them, but he's like the original trilogy kind of guy. He grew up with that. A lot of my friends have seen it and talk about it. My best friend, my only real friend that I hang out with on a daily basis, he pays attention but doesn't really care. He's like, who gives a fuck kind of guy. So yeah, a lot of my other friends that I grew up in high school with and everything that that I've just grown up with and known throughout the years, they're pretty into it as well. They know a lot about it and everything, and so they're all pretty nerdy about it. So yeah, I think everybody knows a decent amount, except for my family, the people who are a little older. They don't really know much about the lore, the TV shows, video games, or anything. But most of my friends at least know about the shows and the games and all the stuff that goes on, kind of behind the scenes. And so, yeah. Next question is from, I can't say his first name, but his last name is Mapping. What inspired you to make your YouTube channel? Excuse me. I really don't know. I really don't know. I think I just one day decided, I'm doing good on Instagram. I think I hit 100K on Instagram, and subscribers or followers is what they're called on Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I think now I kind of want to talk about this stuff on YouTube because I don't feel like there is an honest YouTube channel out there for Star Wars fans. I feel like all these channels, and I noticed it because I always watched a lot of these channels. I was like, all these channels do is tell you about Star Wars. No one talks about Star Wars. I love talking about Star Wars. And that's what I like to do. And that's one thing I pride myself on in my channel is that, that's why I call this video Let's Talk Star Wars. Is I like talking about Star Wars with you guys. And I like these questions and debates and topics that we have. A lot of these channels don't do that. And so that's why I was kind of like, let me do something different. Let me make a YouTube channel where I talk about it. Because I have a lot of very unpopular but can be popular kind of opinions, I don't know how to say it, about Star Wars. I'm one of the guys who, if there's something bad with the sequels, I'll call it out, but if there's something good about them, I'll also be like, hey, it's good. And so I get slack for each side of the coin that I sit on. But overall, I just like giving an honest opinion about Star Wars, and that's why I wanted to make the channel, is that I saw there was an opportunity for it. With, Instagram, it was really easy to kind of build up a very small fan base and then slowly grow. I mean, when I started this channel, I had maybe 50, maybe 100 subscribers, and that's not much at all. But it's harder to get those 50 than it is, 500. So I had a little bit of a kickstart with that. So it all just kind of, you got to take opportunities in life, guys. I mean, if you see something, just fuck it. I mean, really, just I'm one of those guys who I just fuck it. We're all gonna die anyways. Might as well do something. So I always take opportune moments like that. So you got to do the same thing, and that's what I do with this YouTube channel. Next question is again from Elemental Jedi. He asks, if you could create a new force power, what would it be? That's a pretty good one. I think one of the cooler ones would be if you could resurrect a person from the dead. Just something cool like that. But that would have to be something that would be done in a video game or a novel. I don't think that'd be great in a movie. But that would be kind of cool because you could have a lot of the old really cool characters back, like Luke, and if he's summoned back from the dead, or really old Sith lords and everything, like a Darth Bane or something like that. That'd be really cool. Or Darth Vitiate, that would be really cool. Emperor Vitiate. So stuff like that I think is intriguing. But that stuff's kind of overpowered in terms of Star Wars Force abilities. But I think that'd be really cool if it was in a video game. So that's kind of a force power I'd want, is kind of like resurrection and whatnot for a little bit. Something kind of like from Naruto, I guess. I really don't know. Next question is from Max. He asks, will you ever debate other Star Wars YouTubers who like The Last Jedi and see their perspectives on the film? My bad. Sure, yeah. I mean, just who? Which ones do you want me to debate? And I'll leave them a message. I'll hit them up, or you tell them to hit me up, and I'll do it. I would love to debate somebody about The Last Jedi. I might have to watch it a day before I do the debate, but yeah, I'm up for it. I'm up to debate with anybody. If they like it, sure. I mean, just tell me who, and I'll hit them up. Next question is Mark G. The original trilogy has Ewoks. The prequel trilogy had Jar Jar Binks, and the sequel trilogy had Rose Tico. Every Star Wars trilogy had something to hate. You're right, in a way. It's a little different with the original trilogy, though. Prequel trilogy, you started off with Jar Jar. Sequel trilogy, you're in the middle with Rose. The original trilogy didn't get bad with the Ewoks until the very end. So, a little different and a little circumstantial, but yeah. Do you know that you made some inaccurate statements about world-class bullshitters? I mean, I fucking hate questions like that. Well, if you're going to ask something like that, and you're going to say, like, I made something inaccurate, rebuttal it with the facts. What were the statements that were inaccurate? Point them out. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, if I was wrong, I was wrong. But don't say I made something, an inaccurate statement, but you're not going to point out which inaccurate statement was wrong. So, fuck it. I don't know. This next question is Jango Fett or Boba Fett, who's the strongest one? I think Jango Fett, probably, because back in the old EU, he killed, Jedi with his bare hands, which is pretty badass. I don't think really Boba Fett did a lot of stuff like that. And Boba Fett also kind of went out like a bitch. So did Jango, but Jango actually went out, something that he controlled a little more. He actually went out with shooting, guns blazing. Boba just kind of fell in the fucking pit. So, yeah. The next question is from Tyler Snipes. He asks, if The Mandalorian show is successful, where do you think Disney will turn next via a live-action show? So, basically, if The Mandalorian show does well, what's next? What's the next show going to be about? And that's a good question. I think they might try to do something like what George Lucas was trying to do with Star Wars Underworld, or they might go a different direction and try to focus maybe on something more Old Republic-wise. I don't know. I think they're going to try to expand on different sections of the universe, like The Mandalorian. We've explored it, but we've never had a full show on it or anything like that. So I think they're going to try to do something like that if The Mandalorian show is, successful and people like it and everything. So expect, if it does well, yeah, expect something different in the future. Another live-action show, most likely, if it does well. If it doesn't, then probably not. Next question is from Darth Baby Vader. That's a very unique name. I like that. Thoughts on the Vader film, Vader fan film, and what do you think of Ivan Ortega's The Last Jedi edit trailer? And are you looking forward to it? Every time people ask about the Vader fan film, I'm looking forward to it coming out. Other than that, I couldn't care less. Next question that he asked, though, about Ivan Ortega's The Last Jedi edit trailer. I remember seeing something about it, and I'm into it. I'm ready for it. But, it's... You got to come out with it, and I'm not sure what all he can do to fix it, but I'm definitely intrigued on what he does. I love fan edits in general. I love edits that fans do for Star Wars films because it's a different part of the community that has, in my opinion, dwindled out because I don't think there's a lot of films that fans really want to work on anymore. and especially with The Last Jedi, I'm not sure that many fans want to be a diehard fan and fan edit it. So I'm definitely interested in Ivan Ortega's work on it. Yeah, I think it's an intriguing idea. Fan editing the Last Jedi and turning into something that it's completely different. And I don't know, I'm into it. I'll check it out. So yeah, looking forward to it. Elite Raider asks, "What are your opinion on Star Wars theories? God damn it, fucking fan film." I'm excited for it. God, I mean, what do y'all want me to say? Why do y'all always ask that? JRB asks, "Would you redo the prequels by Disney or let them like they are right now?" I think you mean like, would I be okay with them redoing the prequels, or should they be left like they are right now? I think you could leave them like they are. I'm not a big fan of them, but I definitely wouldn't want to go see them redone. For me, the only reason I would say I want them to be redone is just to see what they would come out with, just to see what they would change, just to go see Star Wars in the movies again. That's the only reason I would go to see them redone. But should they be, from a creative decision on the impact on Star Wars and what that has for the meaning of George Lucas's art and everything and what he worked on, and the people who worked on the prequels, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful. So I wouldn't want it in the end. But if I could see it, sure. Next one is from Byron. He asks, favorite Indiana Jones movie, favorite non-Star Wars movie. Favorite non-Star Wars movie is probably going to be something like Forrest Gump. I really love that movie. 12 Angry Men, that's also a great one. I've actually never seen a Indiana Jones movie, so yeah, I can hear you guys losing your mind in the comments right now. Yep, never got around to it, never cared about it. So, sorry. Next question is from Samurai Vader. He says, do you think Stan Lee will ever make a Star Wars cameo? Sadly not, man. Stan Lee's getting a little old. He's doing a lot of Marvel cameos, but I mean, it's harder for him to read. He's getting up there in age, man. So I don't think we got too much longer living around with Stan Lee, and I definitely don't think he would want to just kind of waste time trying to go do a Star Wars cameo and everything, and it would kind of do the whole fourth wall breaking thing again, which might be a little weird. Or they could do it like George Lucas did in Revenge of the Sith, before Anakin walked into the thing with Palpatine about the Plagueis tale, whatever the hell, tragedy. So yeah, definitely don't think that'll happen, sadly, but would have been cool. John Cena asks, what is the best season of the Clone Wars? I don't know. There's a lot of good ones out there. Season 5 was really good. Season 6 is one of those that we all just love and adore because it's got, 11 episodes or something like that that are just, they're the lost episodes and everything. Those are really good. I think Season 5 was pretty good. Season 4, definitely a good one. Season 1, I liked the Camino arc that it had. There's just so many, man. But definitely Season 5. Season 5 is probably my favorite. Next question is from Peter. He asks, do you think if Episode 9 is good enough, it could actually make Episode 8 look a little better? Yeah, in a way, because if you look at what people do with the prequels, there's really only one good movie in the prequels, and that's Episode 3. And so when people say the prequels aren't that bad, they really mean only that film. So if you get Episode 9, and let's say it's better than Episode 7, I would argue that the sequel trilogy wasn't horrible. You had Episode 7 and 9 that are, let's say, adequately good. One's better than the other. And you had Episode 8, which is a gigantic piece of shit and never should have happened. So, yeah, you got one film that's really bad, but then you got two films that are just pretty good, or one's good and one's not too bad, So, I think if Episode 9 is good, it definitely will help the trilogy, and I think it'll be looked back on as a success in the end. Peter also asked Apple or Android, and I have to say Apple. I'm a simple man. I don't really need too much from a phone, so I've grown up off Apple, and it's just, I like it. I'm not a big fan of Androids. It's nothing personal. I don't really care about, the personal... I don't really care about the debate between them. I mean, phone's a phone. Fuck it. Let me, have my phone in peace. So, yeah, whatever. Next question is, how can Lucasfilm fix Star Wars with Episode 9? You really just make a good film. Make a Star Wars film, a film that feels like Star Wars. Give us the answers that we've been wanting, that you've been leading up to, and that you've asked ourselves, and just simply make it about an adventure. It's a fairy tale. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be good versus evil. Don't complex it with this whole, are the Jedi really good, or are they really bad? And and why did Jedi fall and everything. Don't make it too complicated. Don't ruin the characters we've already have and established. Worry about building your own characters. Worry about making your own adventure and story that we can look back on and be like, wow, I'm really glad I went on that, and it was really uplifting and a good movie to watch. Don't try to do what they did with Episode 8, where it's like, oh, we can piss off half the fans, but the other half will be really happy with it and everything. We want to be bold and different, and we want to subvert expectations. Don't subvert every single expectation. If there's 5 questions that you need to answer in the film, don't not tell us all 5 of them and be like, oh, I subverted expectations. No, you really just kind of diminish the entire point of the first film. So just make a good movie. Just make a film that J.J. Abrams can be comfortable with, because that dude doesn't make the worst films in the world. So if it's just an adequately good film, I'm going to be pretty content with it. Because I like The Force Awakens. So if it's something better than that, I'll be okay. Tellman asks, who would win Anakin Episode 2 versus Obi-Wan Episode 1? Probably gonna have to go Obi-Wan Episode 1. He's a little more calm and relaxed when it comes to fighting, and he also beat Maul, and Anakin lost to Dooku. I mean, to be fair, so did Obi-Wan. But I don't know. I think Obi-Wan has the edge in that. Next question is from Josh. He asks, what is your most unpopular opinion about Star Wars? Ooh, that's a good question. I really don't know. I think one of my most unpopular opinions about Star Wars is I don't like Revenge of the Sith that much. I think a lot of people love it to death, and I'm not a big fan. Next question is from Cali Lover 47. If you were Lucasfilm president, would you employ Rian Johnson for anything? Probably not. Not really. Maybe a Mandalorian episode, but I don't like the way he's talked back to the fans and the crap he started up on Twitter, so I probably wouldn't bring him back after all that crap, and I would probably tell him that's why. Crocodile Key Productions asks, which are better, ARC Troopers or Clone Commandos? I don't really know much about either of them. I mean, I know enough, but not enough to give an honest opinion, so I really don't know. Sorry. Devin asks, will the first movie of Rian Johnson's trilogy flop? Most likely won't even happen at this point, but if it does, probably. I don't think it would do better than Solo. Devin also asks, I know it's impossible to do it because of the actors, but would a live-action Clone Wars movie be a good idea? Probably not. I don't think it'd be anything that a lot of fans would go into being excited for and come out pleasantly pleased. I mean, you got to find out who's directing it, who's writing it, all the characters. Are the characters going to look the same like they do in the Clone Wars? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that kind of stuff. Storytime Comics ask about the David Benoff David Benoff and DB Weiss. They're rumored writing I don't know how many movies. I don't know if it's a trilogy or whatever, but they're going to get their own Star Wars films, what we've been told. He's basically asking do you think we'll finally see some interesting characters in their trilogy, and perhaps the best trilogy story-wise, because he talks about their intricate storytelling. I don't think it'll be revolutionary in terms of Star Wars films. I think it'll be a lot better than what most people are expecting. That's for sure. I think it'll definitely be, in terms of characters and storytelling, I think it'll be the most unique Star Wars films we've seen in a while, and I think it'd arguably be some of the best. But the likelihood of this happening isn't entirely high. I'm not a big fan of constantly having Star Wars movies come out, and I'm not entirely all that familiar with their work. But I definitely do think theirs would be the most unique. So we'll see one day. Someone asked, what do you think about the clones in general? I've never really cared. I'm not sure what the obsession is with these clones. I look at them like I look at droids. They're produced for war, and that's really it. So I'm like, I don't really care. So, sorry, I'm not a big clone fan. Haze asks, also, if you're in Palpatine's position when he was Emperor, what would you have done differently, or would you have kept the same? I don't know what I would do entirely differently. He seemed to have things figured out quite well. I probably wouldn't have tried to turn Luke to the dark side. I'd probably just kill him in the end and be like, fuck it. Not a big fan of the rule of 2 either. I'd probably try to have more apprentices and whatnot and everything. So I don't know. I wouldn't do too many things differently. He also asked, if you could live in the Star Wars universe and had the potential to be a Force user, would you join the Jedi or the Sith or something else entirely? Also, Starkiller or Revan, which do you like more? I like Revan more. He's got more character to him, in my opinion. And if I would join the Jedi or the Sith, uh, probably the Jedi in the end. But I definitely wouldn't be all anti-emotion like the Jedi are. I feel like emotion is a key part of who we are as people. So maybe a gray Jedi in a way, but a lot of people try to say that to sound cool. I'm really not entirely sure. I'd probably be just a rogue guy and just not doing whatever the fuck I want. This next question is, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? It's a good question. Nathan asked, what the fuck is your problem? It's also a good question. I Brutal asked, do you love me? I've been here since your Battlefront 2015 commentary. And before your Star Wars only intro, I remember you showing us the actual video of the guy talking shit to you. Oh yeah, man, that was a long time ago. And God, feels like I've aged. It feels like I've aged so much in such a short time. As a YouTube channel, as a person, mentally, physically. Wow. Well, glad you've stuck around this long. Darth YouTube asks, have you ever played any Star Wars tabletop games like Destiny or X-Wing? Nope, not really into that kind of stuff. Doesn't really seem like a good use of my time. Honestly, no offense to anyone who does it. Just not really into it. Apu asks, are Star Wars fans toxic? Not in nature, but eventually, yes. The love that Star Wars fans have for Star Wars is so passionate and, just so huge that it really just turns into hate for it and hate for anyone who doesn't like or doesn't agree with anything they have to say. It's all just passion, and that's what's great about Star Wars, that we all love it. But, I mean, not in nature. They're not inherently toxic in nature. But, yes, nowadays, a lot of Star Wars fans are toxic. I would say probably about 20% of the community. A decent chunk of it is pretty toxic. Caboose, I believe is how you say his name. Who has the better government, the Star Wars galaxy or us, the real world? I'd probably say us, because, I mean, you gotta think with the prequels and how the government was ran with that. I mean, they literally let this guy rise to dictator power. In America, stuff like that probably wouldn't happen that often, no matter what political aisle you think on. It's just not really that. It's not a trend. It doesn't happen ever. So, honestly, I think the real world, it just, in general, makes more sense and it works. Agent Clickbait 007 asks, are you ever going to make your account your full-time job? Eventually probably yeah, and maybe do like MMA and some consultant work on the side just for, more income. So maybe eventually. I'm not entirely sure yet. I wouldn't mind it being my full-time job. It's just finding the motivation to finding the motivation to constantly make good content and good videos isn't the easiest thing in the world. So I'd be okay with this being my full-time job, but it might take a while. It might be about another year before that can happen. Aaron K asks, what is/are your favorite Star Wars parodies? Mine are Spaceballs and Robot Chicken Star Wars. Robot Chicken Star Wars by far is my favorite. That has a special place in my heart, and also it's it's hilarious. Going back and watching those after you haven't seen them for like a year or two, it's amazing. So I really like those, and I agree with you there. That's my favorite. This one guy asked, do you think we will ever see a movie taking place during the Clone Wars? I'm talking live action, not the animated one. No, I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's a market for that. Like I said earlier, I think that's very hard to do. Tabin asks, what are you most excited for to see or learn in The Mandalorian? I'm excited to see new stories and characters, and excited to see, a new plot, something that's different and unique. It's not like The Force Awakens where it's a copy of A New Hope. It's not like Rogue One, where it's just the original trilogy fanboy-pleasing film. It's not like The Last Jedi, where it's just a spit in the face of Star Wars fans. It's going to be a new show, and it's a live-action Star Wars show, something that I never dreamt I would ever see in real life, so I'm really excited about that. Max Renee asks one more question. In your opinion, are the worst Star Wars YouTubers the worst? Ooh, it's kind of a dick move, just be like, hi, you're the worst, motherfucker. But if I had to pick, Mike Zero's pretty trash. Who else is pretty trash on the low? Star Wars Explained's pretty shit. I don't really like his opinions. Who else is pretty shitty? Other than that, I can't really think that many people that I just generally think are shit and don't need to be channels. Next question is from Megalord. What do you think of the idea if they make episode 10 through 12? And the main villain would be a non-Force sensitive businessman who wants to destroy the Force because, in his opinion, the cause of every war existed, and the Jedi and the dark side users team up against him. That is exactly what we call a religious film. And that sounds like atheist people going up against the religion that has, been one of the main reasons for war through all time and everything. Stuff like that's very divisional. It's not, the problem you have with that is that you have the Jedi and the dark side, the good guys and the bad guys teaming up against a guy who's trying to destroy both their sides. Philosophically, it's a very good question, and it's a film I would personally love to make and direct and have that kind of stuff. And instead, though, I would have it where the business guy eventually teams up with the Jedi because morally he agrees with their ideology and whatnot of being good in general and whatnot. So that's a good idea for a film. Philosophically speaking, it's great for Star Wars. However, Star Wars films thrive off of simple good versus evil kind of stuff, fairy tale stuff. This isn't a good, happy fairy tale ending. So overall, I don't think that should be the main idea, because that would be a very big anti-religion. If it's a business guy, it makes it seem like the business guy's evil. For a lot of us conservative Star Wars fans, I know when you're pitching me this idea, you probably don't mean it from an anti-conservative or anti-Republican standpoint, but a lot of conservative Star Wars fans, especially with Disney in charge right now, feel like this would be a very anti-religion, very anti-Republican, very anti-conservative kind of film for Star Wars, and they wouldn't like that. So, yeah, I just don't think that'd be a good idea. This next question is from a guy named The Couch. How would you fix Star Wars? You don't have to use any Disney stuff. How would I fix it personally? I would probably can most of the episodic films that we got going on, like Rian Johnson's trilogy and everything. Can that, do a Kenobi spinoff, wait a little bit, probably do a different spinoff as well, just something unique and different, maybe even like a Mandalorian or something like that. I'm not sure. And so I would do 2 films, spinoff films, wait probably 5 years, come out with the Old Republic trilogy, and during that time I would focus mainly on the Mandalorian show, a live action show like that. And I would also focus on novels and everything. And of course, I would try to rein in on any employees, talking smack and everything, focus on the Clone Wars, and doing a lot of focusing on building a core fan base like we have normally. Like, when I make a YouTube video, I know I have, something like 19,000 subscribers. I know I have that core fan base. But I also want to reach outside that. So I want to build that core fan base up. That's what I would try to do with Star Wars as a company, is just build up the core fan base, kind of like you did in 2014, 2015 with The Force Awakens. So you have Rogue One that comes out, and that's a hit in terms of box office because you built up the fan base. And you couldn't do that with Solo because after The Last Jedi, you split the fan base. That's something I would do, is just build up the core fan base where we can make spin-off films and they be successful and the fans and the casual people who see them like them. That would be my focus of a Star Wars future, but that's just me. Edward Turner asks, how can some people be big fans of Star Wars but hate George Lucas? There would be no Star Wars without him and the whole thing wouldn't exist. What do you think about what George Lucas said and what he would have done if he kept the franchise? I've talked about George Lucas a lot, my love, my hate with him. And I think people who were big fans of Star Wars like me, but hate George Lucas, I don't hate him, but I do have a love-hate relationship with him. The reason we're angry with him is because a lot of the stuff he did was kind of a slap in the face of Star Wars fans. A lot of people didn't like the Phantom Menace. A lot of people don't like the special editions. People don't like Kathleen Kennedy, but a lot of people are going to forget that George Lucas handpicked Kathleen Kennedy to be his successor. So a lot of this stuff goes all the way back to George Lucas. If George Lucas hadn't made the prequels, if he hadn't had been so in control over those movies and made those films that just really aren't that good, if he hadn't done the special editions, he probably never would have sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney. He had always talked about it, don't get me wrong. He talked about it with them for many years of the prequels, but it was always a plan of his to sell it. But maybe it wouldn't have if the prequels came out better, if he hadn't made those films that truly weren't that good for their time, and a lot of people didn't like them when they came out. So a lot of it does boil down and go right back to George Lucas, the man, the myth, the legend, who started everything, but some people would argue might have even ruined everything. So that's why people hate him, is because he's responsible for everything, the good and the bad of Star Wars. No matter what you want to say about it, he is responsible for all of it, which I wouldn't say is cause to hate the man, but for some people it's so personal it is. So now we go to some questions from Instagram. This guy asks the name of the voice actors for the intro. I don't know his name, sorry. What's the best Clone Wars season? Someone already asked that. How old were you when you first watched Star Wars? I don't know. I know I was really young. I saw Attack of the Clones in 2002, and I was born in 1999, so I was very young. So I've definitely seen it since I was probably 2, or maybe even 1 or 3 or whatever. I've seen Star Wars all my life, so it's ever since I was a really, really young kid, I've been watching Star Wars. Dream job, probably a An MMA fighter. That sounds really cool. I like fighting. I do MMA on the side and everything. I'm not going to say that's going to be my future job, but I like doing that. And I like competing and everything. But I also like doing this YouTube stuff as well. And so I think that would also be a cool little dream job, is if this becomes my full-time job, covering Star Wars and everything. That would be really cool. Or if my plans do happen, my dream job would be getting high and making the High Wars podcast and talking about Star Wars and everything. That would be really cool. So that's my dream job. Next question is, do you enjoy weightlifting? I'm just wondering because you like MMA. Oh, yeah. I do weightlift from time to time, but not like heavy. You know, I bench, fucking 250 pounds a week and whatnot, and just, get sets in like that. I just do a lot of muscle endurance kind of workouts, but yeah, that's as far as weightlifting goes. What's the point in the lightsaber throw? Wouldn't it endanger you if you fail? Yeah, but you have control over it with the Force. There's a lot of variables that go into that kind of stuff. But sometimes it works. It can work to pin down an opponent if you throw a lightsaber through them. It works in general if it kills them. I mean, shit. So you look at Yoda with what he did with the clone trooper. He threw it and it went through his chest and everything, and that reduced a lot of the distance that Yoda had to cover. Instead, he would have to block and then run up on the guy and stab him down and whatnot. He just threw the shit, hit his chest, and there he goes. He's dead. So there's some benefits of throwing a lightsaber, my friend. Do you think Disney will ever improve? Yeah, I mean, people are acting like Disney's the worst thing in the world. Don't get me wrong. What they've done, I don't like a lot of what Disney does, and I don't like a lot of what they've done with Star Wars. But in terms of culture and art and everything, Disney's great, man. I love going to Disney World. I'm a big fan of going to Disney World. It's fun. It's an enjoyable experience, and they've created a lot of really good stuff. Even their recent movies with Pixar, I believe, that Coco movie, that was a great movie, man. I actually really enjoyed that. And so they come out with some pretty good movies. It's just that what they've done with Star Wars isn't that great, and I think they will improve, and I think they have been improving these past months, at least this past month in general. And I think that mainly the problem with Star Wars is Lucasfilm and not really Disney. I think Disney's just funding it, and Lucasfilm is just kind of taking the money and screwing things up a little bit. But that's just me. Next question is, would a 501st anthology film ever work if done right? No. No, I don't think there's a market for that. I don't think enough people know about it or care about the clones to really make a good movie for that. And especially do well in the box office. People won't go see a film about Han Solo. I really don't think they would go see a film about the clones. Next question is, if you were J.J. Abrams, what would be most important to do for Episode 9? For Episode 9, it really would be what he's already focusing on, and that's bringing everything together into one final conclusive movie for the Skywalker saga and just ending it perfectly. And that's going to be hard to do, and I don't think he can really do that off the back of Episode 8, but he might surprise us with what he does. So I really don't know. I think the goal is, and what I would try to do, is exactly what he's doing, and that's make it a conclusive ending to the Skywalker episodic saga. Do you think The Mandalorian will be good? He's talking about the show that's coming out in 2019. Yes, I think so. I've been one of the few people to really come out and say that I think 2019 is going to be a great year for Star Wars fans, and I think The Mandalorian is going to be the highlight of the year. I think, Dave Filoni's influence on the show is going to be there, and so is Jon Favreau, who I think is going to be a great writer for the show and a great producer for it. So I'm really excited for this show, and I definitely think that it is going to be one of the best parts of the year for 2019, and I do think it will be good. But that's just my personal opinion. Next question is, the state of Star Wars is not really questioned. I think 2018 has been a really bad year, but I think 2019, like I said, will be a good year. So I think it's kind of on the rebound, if you will. Next question is, what's your favorite movie? I think I already said Forrest Gump is probably my favorite movie. Next question is, you gonna do a video game on YouTube? What? Maybe game review? Yeah, I mean, when the Jedi Fallen Order game comes out, I plan on playing it and doing a review on that. And if it's good, I'll do Let's Plays with it, and just constantly play it with you guys and just let y'all watch me play it and my experience with it and everything, my honest opinions about the game. But that's when it comes out, and that's probably going to be in 2019, so we have a little ways ago. Other than that, there's not that many questions that I have here. Let's see. Yep, nope, that's really it. Sorry, guys. There's not too many questions today. We're at 40 minutes again. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Not really sure what else to talk about. If you guys are curious, I know I did something on my community poll or my community tab earlier this week asking about media registration for Star Wars Celebration. Basically, what happens is if I apply for a media badge and Star Wars Celebration gives me one, then I get to go to Star Wars Celebration for free, which is pretty lit. And so I'd pay for a hotel and everything and figure out. But I think my plans would be if I could get a camera and just record my experience, and if I could get some interviews with any actors or anything, or fans or people who are a little more involved in Star Wars and everything, if I could talk to people like that, that would be really great. Or just, record my entire experience there. I think that'd be really cool for a lot of Star Wars fans like you guys to watch. And so that's my plan right now. It might not happen. I put my application in the day. I didn't put my YouTube channel because I feel like I put a lot of negative stuff about Star Wars. Ironically, I bitch about geeks and gamers and world class bullshitters doing it, but I do kind of follow that trend as well. I'm not the happiest person in the world with Disney and how they've ran the company. And so I think if they see that on my YouTube channel, they're going to be like, yeah, we don't really want this guy. My Instagram, though, I'm deleted all that stuff, and I put out some more news stuff. So, and I told them I just kind of cover Star Wars, and that's what I put in my application. So hopefully I get that, and hopefully what happens is I turn that into, a potential video on a lot of videos where I cover Star Wars, and I record the videos and everything, and I put them up live, or not live, but I put them up the next day or whatever I can, and just kind of show you my experience at the Star Wars Celebration. And I'd probably meet a lot of friends there too, a lot of Star Wars fans from YouTube, from Instagram. I know some people who run big Instagram accounts, so that'd be really cool if you guys would want to see and meet them and see them on the video and whatnot. I think that'd be really cool. But we gotta wait on my application. It could take up to February to get my results back, so yeah, it might take a while. I think it said February. Hang on, let me check. I know it's annoying to do this in the middle of a fucking podcast, but I mean, fuck it. If you made it this far, why not? But I know I put in an application and it told me when. It says, please allow until February 28th, 2019 to receive notification on the status for your application. Jesus Christ, when the fuck's the Chicago thing? It's in April? February, March, April. I mean, you're not really giving me much time if it's by then, but hey, it's free. Can't complain. It's fucking free. I'm just saying. You're going to tell me February 28th and basically tell me, hey, you got a month and a half to get your ass over in the fucking Chicago. I think that's kind of cutting it close, but hey, what do I know?